Good morning, I'm Adam Sexton. To quote from a recent floor debate in the state Senate, housing is the single biggest issue in New Hampshire, and there is no close second. But progress on big changes in Concord to help facilitate more development has proven elusive. Enter the new Housing Supply Coalition. This morning we have two of the many community leaders involved in this project, Michael Skelton from the Business and Industry Association and Corinne Benfield from Stay Work Play New Hampshire. Thank you both for joining us today here.
Thanks, Adam.
Michael, let's start with you. There are three main prongs of sort of the push to get this done, and one of them is land use reform. It's always proven the toughest thing to do. What do you want to see get done, and why is that part of it so important?
Sure. Well, housing is a multifaceted challenge, as we know, and there's lots of dynamics and aspects to solving the issue. But as you said, land use reform has always been the trickiest, and the reason is that we need more building opportunity in order to construct different types of housing. This is fundamentally a supply-demand issue, a supply-demand imbalance, and you can't adequately or sustainably address supply unless you have more places in which you can build different types of housing. And it's encouraging to see that we're seeing some really positive, thoughtful proposals move forward that go right at that land use reform issue.
And Corinne, your organization focuses on recruiting and retaining young people in New Hampshire. How much of an obstacle is the cost of housing to making sure that that key demographic lives here?
Yeah, Adam, it really is the most critical issue by and large. I did a quick Google search today comparing Greater Boston prices, both rental and hourly rate, as well as Greater Manchester. Just a quick comparison. Just to illuminate a little bit of this issue for young people in particular. So a very one-to-one comparison of an entry-level role and a two-bedroom apartment in Greater Boston. I found a really lovely two-bedroom apartment in Somerville. Assuming that you have a roommate, about $3,300 is what you're looking at. Starting salary for somebody going into customer service, $30 an hour. So that's what you're looking at roughly. This is a generalization. In Manchester, you're looking at about $16 an hour for a very similar role, and you're also looking roughly around $2,500 an hour for the same type of housing. So when you're looking at the cost comparison, it makes it really difficult for a young person to choose New Hampshire, specifically like a Manchester or a similar cosmopolitan-like area than Boston. So we're really up against quite a challenge, and housing plays a big role in that. It used to be that New Hampshire really was that cost-effective alternative to Boston, so we saw a lot of young people choose to live in New Hampshire and find starting their career here in New Hampshire versus a Boston, but we're seeing a lot of leakage nowadays, so definitely plays a large factor.
Mike, take us through some of the key pieces of legislation that you want to see get across the finish line in this legislative session.
Absolutely. I think there's a few of many. There's one of the most encouraging things is there's more than 50 pieces of housing legislation filed this year. But just to give you a sense of kind of the higher priority ones. Starter Homes Act, Senate Bill 84, actually just passed the Senate. A huge win, great step forward, would enable the construction of more single-family starter homes, 2-3 bedroom, the types of housing we need to attract and retain those young professionals, as well as older generations looking to downsize. Similarly, ADUs, that's been hotly debated, accessory dwelling units, helping families stay in place together, helping older generations downsize. One state, one code, proposals to streamline building codes so that it's easier for developers and builders to build at an effective, cost-effective rate. Those are just three, but like I said, there are dozens that have been filed, and they all fill in together as a cohesive solution to address this issue meaningfully.
And Corinne, how does this impact workforce? Obviously, you're focused on young people, but when they come here, they're like, hey, I've got a great new job, then they start that search for a home. What happens?
So I can give you a direct example. So I'm really inspired by the young people that I work with every day. Specifically, I hear from really talented young people who are really valued by their employers. One in particular I just had coffee with. She's been in the market for a home for 3 years. She's been saving for her first home for 3 years. She is 30% ready for her down payment. She's a very competitive buyer. She does not have an FHA loan, though she qualifies for one to stay competitive. She's put more than 15 offers on homes in New Hampshire and has been bought out, or has been beat out. It's been very frustrating. She is still dedicated to building her life here in New Hampshire. She's very valued by her company. She's on a track towards leadership. They want to retain her, but she's caught between a crossroads where she has to either choose putting her kind of whole life on the back burner for her career, or maybe even looking down south to start a new life outside of the Granite State. And to me, that's a travesty. And I think, you know, the Housing Coalition also believes that. And I think that's really what we're looking at right now when we're talking about solving the workforce crisis, the housing crisis. It's retaining people like her. She's resilient, fiscally disciplined. She absolutely represents that Granite State spirit, and we want to retain her. So solving this issue and keeping her here in the state is really my call to action.
Right, and it's like, it's so hard for those people who would normally be buying those starter homes. They're kind of stuck right now.
Absolutely.
You know, Mike, you know, on the side of this, there are a lot of people who are saying, hey, if you open up the whole state to development, you're going to change the character of New Hampshire. How do you respond to that criticism?
Yeah, I think it's a natural reaction when a state is changing or growing, but really we can just look at the successful examples around the state of where development has happened and doing it in a smart, practical way, and look around the country. Red states, blue states, purple states. This is not a unique issue. Every state in the country is dealing with housing supply and affordability. It just happens to be worse here than most other places, and that's a real challenge for our economic competitiveness. We need to think about this in terms of how can New Hampshire outcompete other states for talent, and that's why it's so important to do here. There are so many creative solutions in which you can build more housing, building it in an aesthetically pleasing way while maintaining your rural character or the character of your community. And I would say to all those communities out there, you need to grow. You need people, you need talent, you need families. That's what makes communities healthy, making them vibrant, allowing businesses to stay there. So without growth, we don't really have a future as a state, so we need to make that part of our plan.
All right, Mike Skelton, Corinne Benfield, thanks so much for joining us on Close Up. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Adam.
All right, and we'll be right back with a potential Republican challenger in the 1st Congressional District. Joe Kelly Levasseur joins us after the break.